And we are recording. Hello.
Hi.
How are you both?
Pretty good. Pretty warm.
It's very warm. It's come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
How's lockdown treated you both?
I mean, it hasn't really treated me anything. I've been locked inside for the past 4 or 5 months as high risk, so I haven't done anything. I haven't gone anywhere. So it's me
Nice.
and the 4 walls.
It's pretty much the
nice.
same with me. Like I don't have a day job or anything. I've just had this eclectic thing to work on, and Sammy's high risk, so I can't see her. So it's all just been stuck inside, really.
If you don't mind me asking, Sammy, what's the reason for how come you're high risk?
So I have a rare blood condition called hereditary spherocytosis. It just means that my red blood cells are the wrong shape. So I had my spleen taken out when I was 14. So I don't have an immune system. So basically, people are stay away at the moment.
Oh my gosh, that's very dramatic. That's very dramatic.
Yeah. It's what makes me different, I guess.
I was going to say it's very unique. You know, use it to your advantage. Use that to your advantage.
Definitely.
So today, obviously, I'll let you both kind of introduce your product, the magazine itself. But before we kind of get into that, let's discover a bit more about the two of you. If you both like to kind of talk a bit about your backgrounds, if you went to uni, what did you study at uni, what your interests are, a bit like a Tinder profile, I guess, in a way, in a very sort of short collected time, you know.
Ollie?
Oh.
So I started off education. I did a BTEC in musical theatre. Quickly decided that I preferred being behind the stage than in front of it, and went to university to do a BA honours in makeup and hair design, looking to specialise in theatrical makeup. But I also did a specialisation in special effects makeup, so prosthetics and all that kind of thing. And I graduated during lockdown. So yeah,
Congratulations.
Was fun.
You graduate next year, but
yeah, my graduation's next year now, but yeah.
Well, congratulations anyway. Nonetheless,
Thank you.
Cool. That's very cool. What about you, Ollie?
I did a BTEC in graphic design and then an A level in graphic design, but the A level it didn't really work out for me, and I decided halfway that I wanted to do photography. Went to University of Lincoln. I'm in the 3rd year now, starting it this year. My brother went there and he did science, and I liked the place, and it was quite a nice area, so I decided to go do photography. And that's pretty much it. Not much to it. I've been in graphic design before that, and then had a huge switch over, and now I'm in the photography world, in the galleries and critiquing and stuff like that. So,
wow, that's fantastic. It's great. It's great to be able to talk to two other creatives as well. You know, different field. My interest is very much in kind of theatre and writing, but I think we'll come on to in this conversation about kind of what's happening with creativeness at the moment in society, and you know what you guys think about its place in society at the moment and things like that. But it's great. I'm really happy to have you both on. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let's go straight into it then. So Eclectic Magazine. I've said that right.
Yeah.
We have to check loads of times. I've written it out too many times. Eclectic doesn't sound like a word now.
It's a cool word though. It's one of those words that sounds like, once you say it and it's left your mouth, it sounds cool. Like eclectic. It's got that sound and that rhythm. It's really nice.
One of those words that sounds really good and it makes you sound fancier than what you probably are.
Fake it till you make it, eh?
Exactly.
Okay, so talk to us then. What is Eclectic Magazine?
So it's basically a publication. It's going to be a magazine that we bring out monthly, maybe quarterly if it gets too much for us. Where I've got uni next year. Sammy's not doing much at the moment, but it won't get too much. But it's supposed to be monthly at the moment, and it's ran by 2 students, me and Sammy, 4 students exclusively. We've seen multiple publications out there that are for students, and it helps promote students, but the students have to pay, or it'll involve professionals as well, and more kind of overcast the students. The students won't get as much advertisement as they're offered, basically. So it's a completely free publication for people. They can buy a copy, but actually submitting is free, and everything else is free to do with it. It's just to try and promote different creative subjects throughout the UK. So different unis and completely huge variety of people. So
yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. Yeah.
What a fantastic idea though. And I mean, obviously you touched upon it there, that other publications out there obviously charge the students, or there's this thing that it's in a lot of different industries now, isn't it? You know, I'll give you exposure, you do this, you do all this work for me, you'll get exposure.
Yeah.
Okay, mate, all right.
Yeah. Thanks for that one.
Yeah, we're trying to pay for people with followers, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, exposure doesn't pay. Exposure doesn't give me my breakfast in the morning, does it? You know.
No, especially with that, it goes off of more like your talent rather than your Instagram followers, because I know a lot of people who haven't had opportunities because they've got less than 1,000 followers. It doesn't matter how many followers you have to equal how good your talent is. So it's just nice to include the smaller accounts.
Yeah, of course. So, so talk to me a little then about where the inspiration came from. Obviously, I presume that you kind of saw this kind of little gap in the market to help students. Obviously, both of you have been in that position of being students. Is that kind of where the inspiration came from?
It came from many different places. I'd take this one and say that it came more from me than Sammy.
Yeah.
I've always had not like a dream, but like a goal of setting up a charity that would help out creative students to fund their work and help them out with that, but also help with the mental health side of students and stuff like that. So the publication was, I think it was maybe 4 months ago. It just came to me that I was like, well, there's too many magazines out there that are exposing people, but not actually letting them collaborate with others. And even though they're exposing them, it costs too much for students to submit work. So I thought I might as well try and create something that students can actually be a part of without taking anything out of their pocket. Like, it does cost to buy the magazine and it costs to buy the digital thing, but that only covers all the work we're doing for it. Everyone else just gets the opportunity that most university students need, that the creative courses don't provide. So we're just providing the opportunity, and it was basically inspired by charities without making it sound like a charity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was me. I can't take the credit. It was mostly Ollie's idea, but coming from a creative background also, and especially coming to the part where I was graduating, a lot of our tutors and things like that were kind of pointing us in the direction of, this is a good place to get your work published. This is a good place to get your work published. But it seemed everywhere you turn, it's like, oh, well, you can, create this account. You can have like 30-day free trial, all that kind of thing. And then it was like, well, you have to pay to be noticed, and it just didn't seem necessarily fair. So it was a great idea, and it sounded like something that was really easy to come along with. And like I say, the money that we have made from it so far is going into the production of making the copies good, making them the highest quality that they can be, because it's not something that we're doing necessarily for us. Like, the gratification is great, and obviously the self-worth, all that kind of thing is great, but it's something that we're doing for other people mostly.
Yeah, but only for students.
But only students, yeah. And graduates. We do graduates as well.
Fantastic. And I'm sure the creatives that you've worked with so far, I'm sure they've been so grateful as well. Because I mean, obviously I saw you guys advertise and stuff when you started, and I had a look into it and stuff. And I myself was thinking, this is such a cool idea. And I don't know anything else like it. Genuinely, I don't. That it helps these creatives in such a way. So I think it's absolutely brilliant, honestly. And I think both of you should take such pride and such great credit in this fantastic idea.
Yeah, a lot of people have kind of. It's strange, really, because for the first issue, it was mostly like us approaching people through Instagram, because obviously you have to build kind of like your following, you have to build that catalogue of people. So when you approach them and say, hi, like, with this publication, we're looking to promote students, all this kind of thing, the amount of people that are like, oh, this is such a great idea, thank you for the opportunity, thank you for approaching me, and it makes it seem like they've never had it happen to them before. So it's quite nice in that sense that people are, yeah, because I know that if someone approached me like that, especially like for a free publication or that kind of thing, like it's great. And even for like, we advertise it to be, even if you don't necessarily want to be a part of it, you can still approach us, you can still message us, and it gets you used to approaching other publications, like talking, and we're not the most formal people, but writing a formal email and all that kind of thing, kind of the back and forth of it all. So it's just helpful.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, do you have anything to add, Ollie? Or?
I think the main difference nowadays is that because of the social media aspect of everything, it's a bit different, a company reaching out to people on social media. Like we've gone out and found the people that we want to talk to, and we found people that we think they're doing such a good job, they deserve to get more recognition for what they're doing. And just reaching out to those people on Instagram, whether they've got 50 to 100, it may be even more followers, as long as they've got uni student in the bio, we've reached out, and the majority of them have been overly joyed that even someone's recognized their work. So it's just great to see.
Fantastic. I think it's good as well, because what you're creating is a fair, equal level field, you know, because obviously it's like you guys were saying, the people that make a bit of progress in these creative industries are the ones that either has the connections to get in, or they pay the money to, obviously, like you guys were saying, to be able to showcase their work. So what you guys have created is literally, you know, bringing it back down to the equal playing field, which is fantastic. So talk to me a little bit then about the values and the beliefs and kind of like the aims that you guys have for the magazine.
Huge aims. Well,
Good.
I've got huge aims for it. I don't know about Sammy, but she'll probably tag along with my ideas. For the magazine, it wasn't the magazine that was the first idea. The first idea was something, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's a company called Daisy by Maisie Williams, and she has an app and a website that's basically like a social media that all different types of creatives, as long as you've signed up, you can join in and collaborate with others, talk to people, and it's almost like Reddit. It's like a huge forum for creatives, but it's professional students and anyone that's into the industry. What the main idea for this was to, first of all, use the magazine as more of advertisement for not only the students, but for the company itself. And then hopefully build off of that and create a website for students, only for students, anyone that has a student email, anyone that's working in the student industry, to come together and be able to collaborate with each other and gain those contacts. Because not only would it be great if we can get them published in a magazine that many people buy and many people can see, it'd be great if they could actually work with the other people in that magazine and make something bigger and come out with something with more than just a publication.
I think it comes off as well when you're studying at university, well, university for sure, you're encouraged within your subject to either collaborate or to look further afield and then to get those contacts. But you have to do all of that before you graduate, because the people that are looking for jobs, or the employers that are looking for people after graduation, are looking for you to stand out. They're looking for people who have had 1 year's experience, if you've been published or not. And if you're a student, you don't have those opportunities because their other publications are looking for professionals. So if you're that person that's been published as a student and you have that on your creative CV, you're instantly going to stand out against someone else. So it's that kind of giving you the edge that the tutors want you to have but can't provide you. So that was something that I found was quite difficult. I was being told to collaborate outside of my university, and it's like, well, how would you like me to do this?
It's the same with University of Lincoln. As much as I love the place, they only really tell you to collaborate with the people at University of Lincoln. They want to help you support the students in the fashion department, in the graphics design department, and it's great. We love collaborating with other students, but they don't push you to go further outside of the uni. They don't push you outside of Lincoln, really. It's only really with the final projects and the major projects that they actually push trips to London or a gallery trip, which is great. But this publication will basically, hopefully, form into something that pushes people outside of their uni and their boundaries to push into different cities, places like London, places up north, Newcastle, Yorkshire, places like that. Like we started off issue 1 with University of Lincoln students and Solent students, Southampton students. And issue 2, we've had people from Cardiff, Falmouth, down at Cornwall, all
Scotland.
Yeah, basically all over the UK. And it's yeah.
Yeah, it's a big jump from 1 to 2.
That's fantastic, though. That's absolutely brilliant that you've been able to have that that countrywide pull-in. That's fantastic. So obviously you guys you publish the work of creatives, obviously. What's kind of like the limit? You know, I mean, obviously, so far from what I've seen, obviously you've had photographers, you've had makeup artists, you've had hair design. You know, is there a limit? Do you guys even have a limit? You know.
So ultimately, the thing is that yes, it's for creative students. So we kind of say it's yes, if you're studying the subject, great. If you're someone that is, say, so we've had someone who studies psychology, who is looking to write a book later on in life and is very passionate about creative writing and like the creative writing societies at university. So something like that, if it's something that you're looking to personally incorporate within your life, then yeah, like it doesn't matter what subject you're necessarily studying, as long as the creative arts is something that you're passionate about, then yeah. But ultimately we do go for the people who are those students, because that's the main demographic.
Yeah, and when it comes to the subject, it's very hard to put a drama performance or a music performance in a paper publication. Like, it's just basically impossible. But hopefully if we branch out and make the website more of a community, then we'll be able to make it more of a media platform, and we'll actually incorporate those. So at the moment, yeah, we've basically got photographers, artists, makeup artists, hair designers, fashion designers, stylists, illustrators, drawers, painters,
writers, poets. Yeah.
So anything written and you can get down on paper, we've got at the moment, but we will be moving on to the more media side of it soon.
Fantastic. Sorry. Yes, no, that's fantastic. That's really exciting to hear that you guys do have that you know, those plans to make it more than just a magazine, like you were just saying there. You know, to make it its whole its whole. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I'm running out of words today.
Platform.
Yes, thank you. to have the platform. That's very exciting. That's very, very exciting. Yeah. Okay then, so both moving a bit away then from Eclectic for a second. In both of your opinions, at the moment, with kind of what's going on with COVID and the lockdown, how important is art and all of its creative different forms to our society at the moment, do you both think? Big question.
I think, like, yeah, going forward, like with arts as a general kind of branch with COVID, obviously people have been locked inside their houses, or like, you know, they've been very limited to what they can do. And I think a lot of people kind of look past the fact that music, like films, TV shows, anything that you will do to pass the time has come from a creative industry. So with theatres and all that kind of thing, it's a bit different because they're physical things that you go and see. And unfortunately, like during this time, everything has kind of suffered. It's being built back up, but you know, those kind of areas have suffered because they're funded by the people, and if you can't go, then they can't get the money. But if you watch a TV show, if you watch a film, if you buy a DVD, something like that, it's still supporting the arts. But people don't recognize music or films as part of the arts, so when they don't necessarily support those kind of things, you are doing it unknowingly just by enjoying yourself.
It's also the more subtle things, like even just going to McDonald's, seeing advertisements, menu boards. People put so much creative effort into what you see and from where you want to order from, that people don't realize that actually it's a bigger industry than it is. Like, you see billboards every day, you see the brands that you're wearing, people won't recognize that as, oh, you're a creative student. Oh, it can't really matter that much. It matters huge. It's a huge industry, and it's one of the most important things for people's mental health, for people's everyday life, and near enough everything, really. But
yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, how, again, in your own opinions, of course, how do you think that art, again, in all of its kind of different platforms, such as film and music and TV and theatre and writing and photography and whatever, how do you think that things are going to kind of develop as we begin to come out of lockdown, and, you know, things start to go back to normal? Because I have a very strange feeling that things aren't gonna feel like the same again now. Maybe you agree, yeah.
oh well, I can only really speak for photography because that's the field that I know more about. But when it comes to events like wedding photographers and band photographers and gigs and stuff like that, it's going to be so different, and it'll feel different being there. First of all, taking the pictures will be odd because you're not used to it after so long, and then actually getting it out there and talking to people about it, I feel like, I don't know if it's going to be a negative thing, but it could be more popular. A lot more people will want to do it. A lot more people will have the motivation to do it. But then there's also the side that people won't be motivated. So it could go either way.
Yeah, I think definitely you've got kind of two genres of people, where there's going to be the people that, for instance, because I want to work with the theatre, when the theatres reopen, there's whatever things are put in place, whether it's social distancing or what, we don't really know yet, but there's going to either be a surplus of people that want to go then and there, and you're going to have a couple of solid months where you're packed out, or you're going to have people that slowly trickle back in, because we need to have that reassurance that where you're going, what you're doing is going to be okay, or is going to follow certain regulations. I mean, working as a makeup artist and things like that, I know plenty of people that have been itching to get back to work as freelancers. It's the money that we earn. So, you know, people are desperately booking for like treatments, they're booking to get their weddings sorted, all that kind of thing. But then what kind of things are in place for how comfortable you can feel? And it's down to the individual as to how comfortable you feel. Personally, even as a makeup artist, I wouldn't want to be within so close of someone so soon. I'd personally leave it a couple of months before I felt comfortable. I'd need to see like the proof of things getting back to normal. So, you know, normal isn't going to be normal for a long time, I really don't think, but we have to roll with the punches. Like, people have to go back to work, things have to reopen at some point, and you just have to be comfortable with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be different. People won't be used to it, and it's almost now that people are now getting used to not being at work and not being in the industry as much, that it's becoming a norm not to do things. People are becoming less motivated for their own work, less motivated for other people's work. When it comes back to getting into the normal everyday life and actually collaborating with others, it's just going to be surreal and completely different. I don't know if people feel safe working with others, let alone actually doing their own work. So it's hard to gauge what will actually happen.
Yeah, it's been so strange. It seems that lockdown's kind of had such a strange psychological effect on creatives, on a lot of creatives. You know, there's a few, well, there's quite a few actors or directors and like people I know that are in theatre. You know, a lot of people just don't have that motivation at the moment to keep on working. You know. And I think, without making this too political, and I don't think that's backed up by the fact that we live in an age where our government just does not care about the arts. And I say that I'm not knowing the stats. I don't say that as a throwaway comment.
Yeah.
If you look and do the research, it's so obvious that the government just does not care about the arts. And
yeah, I mean, they threw that $1.5 billion bailout towards us, and obviously, like, yes, that is going to be a great help, but a lot of the theatres, a lot of like the old kind of museums, all that kind of thing, they're all funded by like charities. They're all kind of what the public put into them is what you get out of them. So I don't even know if that's going to be enough money, or whether they've even looked at it in a serious way and said, yes, this is enough money, considering how much it takes to make films, or a singular film alone. Like these are things that run day in, day out for years, months, you know, it all costs, and I really don't think that's gonna be enough, and they haven't looked at it properly at all.
No. And I feel,
But I'm not a politician.
I feel like it does come down to the educational level too. With schools and stuff like that, we've always had a problem in the creative side of schools where they'll fund sports and science more than they will creative. But it seems even more so now, with people just not getting the funding that they need for it. And even if you're a student at school or at lockdown, not many people seem like they want to get into it as much as they used to, because there just isn't enough pressure or even help that they can get from educational systems and stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean, I know, again, specifically in theatre, I know, you know, they're planning these things, like the Old Vic is open now, and you know, they're doing these online shows. They're trying to get in these big name actors, like Ian McKellen's doing Hamlet for some reason.
He can do what he wants. I'd watch it either way.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, but the thing that seems to be as well is that these big theatre CEOs and executives are kind of putting all their eggs in one basket, with hoping that this Ian McKellen Hamlet performance will bring in all the money, or this Andrew Scott performance is going on at the moment in the Old Vic. And I completely agree with Sammy. I just don't think it's enough, and I'm scared and also kind of interested to see what kind of happens, not just with theatre though, but with art forms in general. Because like I said, I don't think things are gonna feel the same again now. You know.
Yeah, it's with like, I know a lot of people, especially myself, with like hair treatments, beauty treatments, all that kind of thing. You know, we all want to go and get it done. We all want to go and get our hair done. We want to get our nails done, all that kind of thing. And you can't get it done because everyone's going back like now. But yeah, it's going to be so different to, even if I was to go and get my hair done, to go and sit there with a mask on, to the point where like I don't really feel like I can have a conversation with the person who's doing my treatment or doing my hair, anything like that, because you know, you feel very like in someone's personal space, and it's almost like that bubble has become such a massive thing. Like, we've joked about it before COVID, like, you're in my personal space, all that kind of thing, but now it's very much like, please stay away from me. So yeah, it's all very, very strange, and I don't think it's going to be something that we ever really get used to. And then once we do get used to it, it will go away.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen once it gets back to normal. So
yeah.
Drawing on a comment you made there, Ollie, just a second ago. Obviously, we went to the same school. we obviously grew up together, and you know. But even when I'm looking back now, obviously we went to Huxley Science Academy in Earthenborough. The funding really wasn't there, was it, for creative arts? You know, and I've never really stopped and thought about it before, like, going back. But now you've said that, I'm thinking, you know, and especially in an area where we also have Higham with Ferrers, which is obviously supposed to be a specialist arts college. Yeah, in your opinion, what do you think kind of needs to change in schools? Do you think it is the funding into those sort of sectors, or do you think it's exposure, or kind of what do you think would help that?
I think it's more of the funding. It's more balanced towards where you're putting your money. I know that Huxley was a science college, and they put a lot of their money into science, which is fair enough. That's what they're more interested in. That's how they're advertising their school. But when it came to design tech and graphic design, they had low spec computers, and they had old machines from years ago that industries don't use nowadays. So it's hard to say what they can do, because to upgrade it to the new modern technology, it is expensive. Buying an iMac nowadays can go up to 10 grand depending on what you actually want. And even the machines nowadays, they can be hundreds of thousands of pounds. Like, it's hard to upgrade, but it seems like people aren't balancing out the money as well as they can be. because I quite remember having a new set of dodgeballs and a new set of footballs, but we never got new paintbrushes or stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd say it's more the funding, just balancing out.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Do you have anything to add, Sammy? Or?
I mean, my school was a specialist humanities and languages academy, so you know, a lot of our things did go into that, but I only ever remember from secondary school having one drama lesson a week and having one music lesson a week, but having multiple of everything else. Even PE we had more than once a week, and even in those lessons, I mean, obviously it depends on the person and what your interests are, but I just remember my music lessons, my drama lessons always being really ready, and them being what I was the most interested in for the week, and just having people in my class see it as a DOS because it's a practical based lesson. It's nothing that you sit and write about, it's all just physical. So they'd just see it as something to mess around and do whatever, and then before you know it, you know, you're playing stuck in the mud or something. Like it just went from the start of the lesson right down to the bottom. It nothing ever got done. Even when I chose it for A level, I didn't get that many lessons a week of it. Nothing really progressed. It was more just the caliber of what we were being taught was different. So, you know, I think it definitely could be something that's injected into the curriculum a bit more. Definitely, one lesson a week just isn't enough for someone to be interested in something. It's got to be kind of like constantly there. You know, I don't need double French. Like, give me double drama.
I was about to say, I know that Huxley was again the science college, but we had triple science throughout the whole thing until we got to choose what we wanted to do. And then when I wanted to do design tech, I wanted to do that and only that because I was into graphic design. I loved it. But then it was only 2 lessons a week, while we had humanities and RS, science and maths, more than any other subject. And it's just hard to get involved in the industry you want to be in at such a young age too, when it's not funded and it's not pushed on you as much as other subjects are.
Sorry, I mean that's my fault for taking it off topic there. You know, that wasn't actually like one of my questions. But when we were talking about it, you know, it's an interesting thing, and it's not really something that we think much about. You know, but I completely agree with all the comments that both of you said there. I think it would be very nice and very fresh if the curriculum could be looked at and properly addressed in terms of the creativeness and stuff. And I think, genuinely, I do think, I know that your publication is going to do well. I know it will, because you've got this gap in the market. But maybe your publication could be the start for this, though. You know, if you could get the exposure into the education sector and people can see these, even at a stage before they're choosing to go to uni, and they can see that there is the exposure out there, there's going to be more motivation for them to want to go to uni and do these creative subjects, you know.
I think it's about ending the stigma. Like, there is such a stigma around the arts not being a job. And I remember vividly, like, my dad is a very supportive person to me now, but when I first told him that I was dropping my A levels in English literature to go and do musical theatre at college, I was told that that's not a job. You're not gonna go anywhere with that. And then to drop musical theatre to do makeup was also a bit of a step down to him. But for him to see that it's something that I'm very passionate about, something that I am very passionate about pursuing as a career, and something that I have stuck at for 3 years, and, you know, done my research, been that creative person, got myself stuck in with everything, that it's something that is very viable. And, you know, there are parents out there are people our age out there saying that the arts isn't a job. But then, going back to things during lockdown, if the arts weren't a job, you wouldn't have your films to watch, you wouldn't have your music to listen to, you wouldn't have your theatres to go and watch as a treat, like your museums to visit with all of the art history. You know, it's one of those things that just because it's practical based and you're using something that is an actual physical talent, doesn't mean that it's not a job, because you're not a doctor, because you're not a policeman, because you're not a lawyer, you know, because you're not one of these high profile jobs, doesn't mean that it's not something that's going to give your life worth.
Of course. Yeah. There's also the stigma that most students will look at creative students and think that it is a DOS lesson. It's an easy lesson. You can go in there, do what you want, get an easy grade because you might be a little bit good at painting. But people don't realise that actually there's a lot more to it than clicking a button to take a picture. There's a lot more to it than putting paint to a thing. Like I personally do more theory work than I do practical on my uni course. Back at A levels and GCSE, it's a bit different. It is more practical, but people will see it as easy, so they won't see it as a viable option for a good future. They'll see it more of a, oh, it's just something you can do. It's a hobby, isn't it? So that's how they would see it.
Okay, cool. I've got through all the questions I wanted to ask. I'm looking, we have 2 minutes left. Plug yourselves. Where can we find your individual work? And also, where can we find Eclectic? Go.
So on Instagram, my Instagram is SammyJJarvis_artistry. And my Facebook is Sammy J Jarvis Makeup Artistry.
Off by heart, but my Instagram is Oliver.photographer because it sounds cool. My Instagram's Oliver Photographer, I think, but I can't remember.
That's cool.
And then for Eclectic, the website is eclecticmag.co.uk. The Instagram is eclectic.mag. And then the email, if you want to send us anything, it's all of the kind of information on our issues can be found on the Instagram page. We keep it very up to date, like every day, is mag.eclectic@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if they have any questions, email us, messages, whatever. We're all near enough.
I do nothing in the day. Feel free to talk to me.
I'll tell you what, you guys are naturals. You are absolutely naturals. I mean, when you're on BBC, you know, this is just the starting point. When you're on BBC, you're gonna absolutely ace it. And just to clarify, then, for anyone that wants to submit a piece of creative work, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Anything and everything, as long as it falls under our category for each issue. You can do anything. You can submit to more than one issue. It is not capped. We've got people that will possibly feature in multiple. So it's really just send us everything.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for doing this. I really, really look forward to seeing where Eclectic goes, and hopefully, you know, I'll be on the journey with you. I'll be following you on Facebook and everywhere. But thank you so much for doing this, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.